Welcome back. Thom Hartmann here with you. I was absolutely fascinated. Luis and I got home. We got home late last night. We had there's just a bunch of stuff that we had to get done, and it was just in time for the start of basically Rachel Maddow's show. Joy Reid was filling in, and the lead story was Putin was involved personally in directing the not necessarily the hacks of the DNC, but the releasing of the emails showing that Debbie Wasserman Schultz was putting her thumb on the scale against Bernie and all that kind of stuff. And I thought, whoa, this is pretty bad stuff. And thought, well, I wonder what Fox has to say about this. Not that they're my go-to source of news, but I flipped the channel to Fox. And Congressman Peter King, who is the head of the House Intelligence Committee, was on there with Megyn Kelly. And she was saying, isn't this a big deal? Isn't there something we should do about it? And he said, absolutely. But here's the thing. He said the story that is being quoted by Democrats all over the country is coming out of the Washington Post and the New York Times, and they're attributing it to unnamed sources inside the CIA. There's no official spokesperson saying this. And he said, so we, the Intelligence Committee, asked the CIA to make a spokesperson available to us today. Today's Thursday. Tomorrow, yesterday, last night, he says, we asked them if they could have somebody come to Capitol Hill tomorrow and explain to us what they're talking about on the record. If you've got evidence of a Russian hack, if you've got evidence that Putin was involved with it, lay it out. Let us go to town with this. Republicans are as outraged as Democrats if this is true. And the CIA said, no, we're not going to tell you. And Peter King is like, whoa. And it's like, is this becoming politicized? I mean, uniquely politicized? Because Peter King's comments, I'm not seeing anywhere on MSNBC. And the stuff from the New York Times and the Washington Post, I'm not seeing anywhere on Fox unless it's being derisive. And frankly, as an American, I want to know. I want to know, if a foreign government, if Russia or anybody else, but, in this case, this is the allegation that it's Russia, or the leader of Russia, Vladimir Putin, if they were directly involved with hacking or releasing information from the United States, that might have influenced the election. Now, according to Joel Benenson, the CIA or the CIA, the Hillary Clinton, main strategist, the thing that really killed the campaign in the last 2 weeks was the October surprise of Jim Comey, which is a whole different thing. And in fact, now there's an effort to get the search warrant unsealed so they can figure out what was the basis for this search warrant that Comey went and held a news conference on, or sent a letter to I guess he sent a letter to the Republicans saying, there's new news, knowing that they would, run to the press with it and it would just blow up in their faces. And this appears to be one of the main things that hurt Hillary Clinton in the last 2 weeks of the election. So they're trying to find out, was there enough stuff in that search warrant, enough probable cause that it was actually a legitimate thing to even bring to the American people, or was this just Jim Comey playing J. Edgar Hoover and trying to manipulate American elections, as Hoover did on multiple occasions, and not just elections, manipulate American politics in general? And that's the charge that Harry Reid has made. Harry Reid has said, this was Jim Comey, he should resign, he was playing politician. But this thing by Peter King just blew my mind, in as much as, and I'm not a Peter King fan, this, and I'm not a Republican fan, and I don't trust half the words that come out of their mouths. But this doesn't sound like a partisan statement. This sounds like a frustrated legislator, and I'll let you make up your own mind. You can find this. Real Clear Politics has a link to it, and they've got the whole video. It's a 5-minute, 27-second video. I'm just going to share a little piece of it with you. The headline is Representative Peter King, almost like CIA is carrying out a disinformation campaign against Donald Trump. And the basic conspiracy theory that he's laying out here, I'm not sure if he actually said this out loud last night or if I'm just remembering thinking that this is what he was implying, was that Donald Trump has been saying, the CIA got it wrong in Iraq. And, I don't need we don't need no stinking briefings from the CIA. And he's basically been dissing the CIA. And so King is arguing that this whole thing is trying to delegitimize Trump as payback. Because the FBI is not saying that Putin was involved or that the intention of the Russians was to hand the election to Putin. They're not saying that at all. And the CIA is saying that. And so when King, well, anyhow, here's what Peter King had to say last night. I just find this fascinating and concerning, because what should be a straight up national security issue. And I'm seeing this, I'm seeing this all around me, right? I'm kind of in the middle of it, being whipsawed by it, doing a TV show in the evening on RT, where, by the way, nobody ever said, hey, we've got to promote Putin. I mean, nobody ever said anything about this. We just did our show. But well, in fact, by contract, we have complete editorial independence, which is something that MSNBC would not give us, by the way, and no other, but anyhow. So, but here's what Peter King had to say, just to get to that.
Do you go too far in accusing them of intentionally engaging in a disinformation campaign?
I'm saying that there is someone there who is leaking this out. Why didn't they tell the House Intelligence Committee? That's their obligation. Why didn't they tell the House Intelligence Committee if something so dramatic happened between November 17th and this week to change their assessment? Didn't they have the obligation to come before the Congress and tell us that? We're the ones who have jurisdiction. Devin Nunes is the one they should have gone to. Somebody, Devin Nunes or, again, the Speaker of the House, they have an obligation to do that. And then to come out with this, to say the CIA has this, but nobody in the CIA is speaking. No one's on the record. No one at all is on the record. So somebody, if it is true, they're leaking it, and that's a crime. If somebody is making it up, then that's also wrong. This stinks. It really does. It's wrong, and it's, listen, this could well end up being the conclusion sometime. If it is, they have to do it in a proper way. They have not done it, and so far, I just think that this is disgraceful what's happened.
Wow.
Yeah. So we're starting to get the music that they were using to tell Peter King, the break is coming. Get ready to stop talking. But basically that's what he was saying. And I could go back into the interview and find some of the other clips, but I don't want to make this whole segment about that. But, the politicization of this thing. And by the way, Harry Reid essentially, said the same thing this week. If you've got the evidence, come forward and say it. And this is from Real Clear Politics again. This is posted by Tim Haynes. The headline is Harry Reid, Jim Comey, and Vladimir Putin conspired to make Donald Trump president. But he says he noted that he does not have any information from classified briefings that has not appeared in the press. He blamed Russian hackers. He said it is obvious he was partisan in this. But, he goes, and he talks about this. So, anyhow, just the whole thing is just, number one, kind of intellectually, I find this fascinating. Politically, I find it fascinating. It's like, it's almost like, let's figure out who to make the boogeyman in this. And it would be really cool if it could be somebody who's not an American. So let's not talk about Chris Kobach. Let's not talk about Republican voter suppression efforts. Let's not talk about the FBI director. Let's not talk about all that stuff. And
this is the Thom Hartmann Program.
And I would like, I'm all in favor of delegitimizing Donald Trump. He's not my president. I don't think he's a legitimate president. I don't think he won even the Electoral College.